Welcome and good morning, everyone. My name is Kunal Aman, and I'm the marketing manager here at Datamatics. I'll be your host for today's webinar. Datamatics complimentary webinars are designed to better help you understand some of today's most critical IT issues and walk away with practical advice on how to address them in your organization. Feel free to send across the questions to our presenters using the chat window on the lower right corner of your screen during the webinar. At the end of the session, we will take as many questions as time permits. I hope you will enjoy today's session. Our topic is SharePoint Migrations, how to get it right, and is being presented by Swapnil Bhagwat, who has more than 13 years of experience in the IT industry and is an expert in SharePoint and collaboration initiatives. As a senior solution architect, he has architected various public-facing portals, enterprise SharePoint environments with multiple server farms, and has designed and developed SharePoint solutions. And so with that quick introduction, I would like to invite Swapnil to take over the webinar. Over to you, Swapnil.
Thank you, Kunal, for that nice introduction. And I welcome all the participants for this webinar, SharePoint Migrations, how to get it right. A quick introduction about Datamatics. Datamatics is we are having a decade of global experience across 60 countries. We have over 5,000 employees, preferred partners to several Fortune 500 clients, more than 200 active global clients, specialize in end-to-end on enterprise content, data, and document management. We have capabilities in both proprietary and open source technologies, integrated IT, BPO, and KPO services. More information about Datamatics can be available on datamatics.com website. You can see the global presence. We have offices all around the world, and they can be leveraged for our IT delivery centers. So let's begin with our core subject of the webinar today. Migrations. We know that there are different versions available in the market, and what do we do with it? So the primary answer is we are not alone. What we have done is, as a part of a research, we have taken a Forrester Research Incorporation, a subscription that we subscribe to. It tells us that SharePoint 2010 has the highest number of subscriptions so far in the market. The adoption goes as high as 81% in year 2012. We can see there are two legends to this graph. 2011, a light blue, 2012, a dark blue. So from these legends, we can understand that the different versions of SharePoint are adopted differently in the market. The market is scattered with different versions. There are customers who are still on SharePoint Portal Server 2003, a decade-old product. We can see as good as 8%, and most of them have moved to different versions in 2012. SharePoint 2013, which we know that have been released to the market in October 2012. We can see a phenomenal adoption to that, 7%. Are you ready yet? Now, if you see a quick pie graph here, what does it mean? Is most of the answers provided are yes. Only 15% says no. Those could be different reasons altogether. And the people who have said yes, they are planning to move to SharePoint 2013 within 2 to 3 years of time span. So we can establish a conclusion that by 2015, there will be a large amount of migrations that might happen within an industry. And that large migrations we are estimating to be being as 85%, which is the topic of today's subject. So there are different variations before we move to SharePoint 2013. The three variations which are available in the market and used by the customers, starting from SharePoint 2003, MOST 2007, and SharePoint 2010. Now, as the webinar move along, we will see how each of these can be migrated to SharePoint 2013. What could be possible challenges and what are the recommendations from Datamatics? The very first one, migration from SharePoint 2003 to SharePoint 2013. As I mentioned earlier, it's a decade-old product. We all know that the today's IT era is about social collaboration, mobility. In year 2003, the adoption of mobile phones were not that big. People never envisaged that the collaboration could be a business benefiting factor. So there has been a huge architectural changes that has happened from 2003 to 2013. So as a technical steps, there are three long steps involved. First, you need to upgrade it to MOST 2007. When I say MOST, it is Microsoft Office SharePoint Server. The second step is to upgrade it to SharePoint 2010. And the third step is an upgrade to SharePoint 2013. We can understand that it's a time-consuming and error-prone process because our older versions, that is SharePoint 2003, used to come with a 32-bit architecture. It didn't have a lot of rich user interfaces. It didn't have service applications. It didn't have a my site. So how do I take everything that is there in 2003 to 2013, which has so many rich features? So the answer is there is a scarcity of people who are expert in all these variations because there is no straight way from 2003 to 2013. We have to follow each and every upgrade to the next version. What it means, from 2003 to MOST 2007, there are two ways to do it. One, you can do it in place upgrade, or you can do a database attach and upgrade. From MOST 2007 to SharePoint 2010, again, it has two ways to do it, in place and database attach upgrade. However, the last step, upgrading to SharePoint 2013, does not provide in place upgrade, which means it only has one method, that is database attach and upgrade. Now, these are broad level steps, and we understand that technically these are not going to be only three steps, but a detailed plan deep down. So the process would be error-prone. We have to create multiple environments where the solution would be tested to the next version. What is our recommendation for that? So what do we say is it is a difference of decade between two product versions. It would be required to balance between efforts of upgrade versus creating new SharePoint 2013 form. Now let me explain what do I mean by a balance. A balance is created when we are saying that I want to upgrade. One thing is very sure that when you want to upgrade, it is a technological upgrade, and the second is a business need. A business need here is the customizations or the way our customers have used SharePoint 2003 portal might be very different in its business needs. So do I need to take it as is to the SharePoint 2013? Or can I create a new fresh form and upgrade it to 2013? So our recommendation is to avoid as much of upgrade from one step to another unless it is absolutely necessary. Because you will need in an organization multiple servers where you can take 2003 version to 2007, then to 2010 and then to 2013. you will need to procure different database licenses, SharePoint licenses for this migration activity. The next version that we talk about would be migration from March 2007. Again, we can see that there are 3 steps involved. From March 2007 to SharePoint 2010, it can be done and upgrade using 2 methods, in place and database attach upgrade. Then the database attach upgrade would be taken to SharePoint 2013. As I mentioned earlier, database attach and upgrade is only available mechanism to take it to SharePoint 2013 version. The next step comes as in, because SharePoint 2013 has a backward compatibility, it has 2 hives, hive 14, which is for SharePoint 2010, and hive 15, which is for SharePoint 2013. So we can take our current website or a portal or an application to a hive which is compatible to 2010, and then we can create a distributed administration and a governance where systematically we can do a visual upgrade of sites. Now let me give a little more understanding of visual upgrade, because that's a new step. This step would have been involved in migration of earlier version 2003 as well. But as I was mentioning, that these are broad level 3 steps. As we move along with the migration, the detailing would be heavy, because a lot of customizations, a lot of technicalities, a lot of hardware has to be considered before the migration. Visual upgrade is, as the name suggests, it is about bringing your UI elements to be compatible with SharePoint 2013. Now let me give you an example. The master pages. It's a .NET concept inherited in SharePoint platform. Master pages are used to give you a standard look and feel across the portal. Now these are, when we create these master pages in March 2007, what happens is March 2007 at that point in time do not have capabilities like client object model. It did not have capabilities like HTML5. It did not have capabilities like using jQuery. So what do we suggest is, in a visual upgrade, it will do an upgradation of UI that would be compatible with SharePoint 2013. Our recommendation would be attach and upgrade database method is recommended, since it gives you a lot of control, a manual control over your migration. We recommend that install and configure service applications first, then attach application database. What it means is, March 2007 had an SSP, shared service provider, and SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint 2013, they give you service applications. So there is no direct upgrade that can be done from perspective of configuration. You need to have them configured differently. So first, configure your service applications, whichever in your form are required. Then you can attach the databases which are upgraded to the new form. We will need to analyze change in API in custom WSP source code. A custom source code could be a client object model or a search API that has been written in the earlier version, which is March 2007. There would be API change in SharePoint 2013. We will have to analyze the code deeply. STS ADM to PowerShell. Why do we recommend that? STS ADM, as it suggests, it's an old exe format, which is a command line tool to control and configure your SharePoint environment. However, with the new versions of Windows Server that have been coming, like 2008 onwards, it gives you a tremendous scripting capability wherein we can control the environment and the platform much dynamically. This is why we recommend that all the deployments of platforms SharePoint 2010 onward should be done using PowerShell scripting. The next section that we reach out to is the migration from SharePoint 2010 to SharePoint 2030. Again, we can see that there are three steps involved. Three steps which are broad. First, to upgrade database and attach. Configure service application and attach application database. And third is a visual upgrade of the site. The challenge is no in-place upgrade method available. Microsoft has very deliberately removed in upgrade since the SharePoint 2013 version is a backward compatible. What it means, it can coexist with your SharePoint 2010 portal on SharePoint 2013 environment. It contains two hives, hive 14 and hive 15. There is an introduction of app model. It's all about cloud. So app model architecture, we cannot take the earlier version, that is SharePoint 2010, to our app model as is. We need to recode and rebuild and redeploy. Our recommendation would be to use attach and upgrade method, which is only method available. Sites can be migrated with backward compatibility mode. Why? Because there are possibilities that the sites are using certain SharePoint 2010 specific elements which might have been deprecated in 2030. So we suggest you first move the site to the backward compatibility, test everything, check for the upgrade, and then move it to SharePoint 2030. Migration process. A key to a successful migration. As earlier slides, I was discussing different challenges and different recommendations on Datamatics. What is the key to the success of the migration is the process. The process that Datamatics have meticulously come out with as an approach, it is a 5-stage process. Planning, preparation, testing, implementation, and validation. Now all these 5 steps are very important and they are very cohesively understood as they cannot be operated separately. The migration involves a very crucial elements like people, process, technology, and policies. Because it's not only a technology migration. You need to have a business goal that has to be achieved after the migration. So in the planning, what we will do is, in plan, we will create a strategy. We will create a performance plan. We will create what could be a possible topology architecture for SharePoint. So planning is where we meticulously come together for an end objective for a step-by-step process. The next part is preparation. Preparation is where we will prepare a checklist where we will record all the customizations that we have done. We will gather all the latest source code and keep it error-free. We will test the entire environment in such a way that it is not producing any error, because the environment that is producing error in its source would end up in error during the migration. A quick example here could be a migration. While we are doing a migration, let's say a customer is having a workflow in progress. Now, workflow in progress would lose its data because if a custom code is using handle on event is set to true, it's a custom code using an API. So we will have to test your custom code before we will have to mention that it has to be error free. Once we ensure that the testing and the solution has been error free, we move on to the next step, which is an implementation. Now, implementation would actually carry out the different steps of migration. That is either instance or database update and attachment to the various environments. The last step, which is very important, is to validate. Each element that we have recorded in our preparation stage has to be validated against. These validations would require whether the configuration that was there, like for an example, we have a quota system in SharePoint. We can create site collections with a specific quota sizes. So the validation can be done whether the configurations have moved to the next version. The validation can be done for the custom code, whether the code that is deployed from the earlier version has it been upgraded and performing to the required standards of the new version. As I was mentioning, the migration checklist in our preparation stage, a broad level checklist could be a required hardware and a software licenses. Hardware, because earlier versions like SharePoint 2003, MOS 2007, they were supporting 32-bit architecture. So 32-bit hardware, if it has been implemented in those days, we will have to go for new hardware architecture, which is 64-bit architecture. We have to procure software licenses like database licenses. Database that was supported by earlier versions was 2005 SQL Server. However, the SharePoint 2013 will not support it. It will require SQL Server 2008 R2 onwards. We have to ensure as a checklist that the backup is taken before the migration. The backups of the different databases, like the content database, we have to take a backup of service applications, and we have to take a backup of PALM and entire web application. We have to record all the form settings. There are different form settings that I was mentioning earlier. Could be a quota template, it could be a search scopes, and so on and so on. And we have to validate them. We have to list down all the customization, including any manual setting. Customization involves like any custom workflow that is used by a custom API. We have to go gather all the solutions and WSP files that are being used in customization. A few examples of customizations that would require recode or redeploy solutions during the migrations could be as a custom master pages could malfunction since visual upgrades have changed considerably. What it means, as I was explaining earlier, the older versions did not support client-side scripting or client-side object model. The earlier versions also did not support the different device channels. So if we are upgrading them, we will need to understand that we need to have a closer look at the custom master page before we upgrade. Second point, custom search solution based using SQL syntax are not supported in SharePoint 2013. We will have to recode it using keyword query language or fast query language. As we know that SharePoint 2013 has an inbuilt fast search engine. Query web service located a common address for this service is under VPI_bean search.asmx. This API, web service API, deprecated. We will have to recode the custom application that we have written using this web service. We have to change it to query client server object. We have to change it to the query CSOM or query REST services. These are the customizations that require a recode and redeploy. We know that content editor web part with lot of HTML code is a very common practice by the SharePoint site administrator. It is the easiest way to give any ready-to-market solution. Now, our custom web master page that we have just discussed in our first point, we might do a perfect alignment, perfect visual upgrade with respect to SharePoint 2013. However, what happens to the content editor web part is it will have its own HTML code embedded inside, which might give you a malfunctioning page intermittently. We will need to consider that as a customization, and we need to plan for it. We will discuss few case studies that Datamatics have done as a project for the migrations. The first case study that comes is it's about a global real estate organization for whom we have migrated March 2007 to SharePoint 2013. Very interestingly, they had multiple March 2007 environments, multiple farms, those were existing. And the requirement was to take them to a consolidated SharePoint 2013 farm. So as you can see in the image that depicts a different flow where we have two March 2007 farms, and then they are been migrated to SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint 2013. We had to not only migrate software, but we had to recommend an hardware upgrade. Since they were on 32-bit hardware, which was not supported by SharePoint 2013. It was a tremendous and meticulous planning, and the steps as a Datamatics migration approach that we followed gave us a very successful migration. We do have a testimonial from the customer that says Datamatics process was very detailed. It provided complete control over migration. So the process that we were emphasizing on control on a migration is a very important aspect. A next case study is a US-based healthcare logistics organization. The requirement was to migrate SharePoint 2003 to SharePoint 2010. We have seen the steps that SharePoint 2003 to SharePoint 2010, it will involve first to migrate it to SharePoint 20, March 2007. So what we had done was we had used an in-place upgrade since customizations were at the user interface level and they were not at the code level. We could find out that the customer has done a level of customizations where it would involve a SharePoint designer that could take the entire code to the SharePoint 2010. Lists and libraries permissions, all while maintaining full fidelity. So the security of the SharePoint 2003 farm, which was controlled by Active Directory, was to be also migrated to SharePoint 2010. We had to map. We actually created a metadata store which was not available in SharePoint 2003 form as using a custom utility that could map the data and the meta store, using which the search results that the users were receiving were extremely relevant. Now we can see a testimonial here that very first says that Datamatics fit our budget perfectly. We got the best solution at the best price, and the process was faster than we anticipated. Now, now, if we talk about the budget, as I was mentioning earlier, the challenge is multiple hurdles. What did we do there? Because you are on SharePoint 2003, and which is a 32-bit architecture, and the SharePoint 2010 form requires you to move to 64-bit architecture. At the same time, you will require an in-place upgrade or some database attached upgrade to March 2007. So our solution was, first we took the entire backups. We listed, as per the checklist, we listed all the customizations, we listed all the configurations. Using in-place upgrade, the same hardware was used to move the SharePoint 2003 to March 2007, which was then backed up again, and then we moved the solution to SharePoint 2010 form, which was on 64-bit architecture. That gave a leverage of a budget solution where you do not have to have multiple environments, and our process was pretty smooth, and it was to the great expectations of the customer. So with this, we cover the different steps that we require for the migration. This is at the broad level. However, we have a detailed checklist, detailed steps. We have detailed steps and detailed okay. So we have detailed steps and detailed process that we have to follow to get the migration to a success. What we propose is, this is a journey that each organization has to start towards a successful migration. And for the participation to this webinar, we have a free consultation available from Datamatics, for which you can reach me on the below email address that is displayed on the slide. It is swapnil.bhagwat@datamatics.com. We would be happy to help in terms of the queries, and we would be happy to help in your successful migration. We would like to take the questions now.
Thanks, Swapnil. In fact, we have some active participation already from our listeners in the form of questions. So I think I'll go on and probably ask the first one. So this is an interesting one. I think we all agree that SharePoint 2013 brings in another significant phase of the platform revolution. And on the social media front, Microsoft also put a lot more shares in SharePoint. And in fact, Microsoft's purchase of Yammer is a step towards it. So the question coming in from one of our participants is, how does Yammer integration actually strengthen SharePoint and its social? Swapnil, your comments are?
That's a very intuitive question, Kunal. I have been particularly following the Microsoft steps since last 7 years, and in particularly for the SharePoint environment. Before I jump on to the answer to this question, I'll give you a background about how the strategy for the SharePoint has evolved. Microsoft in year 2006, files also purchased, like Yammer, a company called as Search, which is a now well-integrated search engine of SharePoint 2030. So since beginning, Microsoft knew that the journey or any portal solution would require a search engine that provides you relevant and and very fast search results. So that is how we can see in the current version the fast is embedded search engine. Now the question that you asked, YAML integration. Microsoft procured YAML as a first step toward social integration. YAML has been successful on cloud-hosted collaboration and social enterprise system. So right now, SharePoint and YAML, they are supplementing each other. What it means is Microsoft is trying to build as many social collaborative elements within SharePoint itself. And as a next step, the Microsoft would be considering Yammer to be part of SharePoint, and it would evolve as a single ecosystem. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks for on that one. So here's another question from one of our listeners. So how long would a typical SharePoint 2030 migration project last?
Oh, that's a very tricky question for me. However, in our experience with the case studies and few more that we already have existed within Datamatics, if the content or the implementation of SharePoint by a customer is by using default SharePoint features and not much of a customization is been done, the migration takes less time. I would say it takes approximately 1 to 1.5 months. However, the largest time required during the migration is to cope up with the customizations that have been done on the farm. Now, when I say customization, the example could be I have created a meeting room system using SharePoint almost 2007. Now, this meeting room booking is using a WSP solution which was created in .NET 2.0. Now, I cannot deploy the same thing on SharePoint 2030. I will need to check each API that has been utilized. I cannot take the same customization to the next level. Hence, I will need to involve not only SharePoint administrators, but SharePoint developers who can rework on this customization, make it compatible for SharePoint 2030, create a package, and deploy it. So in these scenarios, we have few customers where there were, if we have to put number to customization, there were approximately 35 solution packages to one of our customers. They had different features created for SharePoint. That took us approximately 4 months for the entire migration because it involves a lot of testing, it involves a lot of recoding, and it involves a lot of redeployment.
Great. Thanks for your on that, Swapnila. We are almost out of time, and I think the presentation was wonderful, Swapnila, and I really appreciate the time that we took to be with us today. And for all our participants online, Datamatics is pleased to announce that we will be conducting a free consultation session which is designed to help you deal with any specific problem area in your organization around SharePoint or any portal-related initiative. For those of you interested, please fill in your details in the form that will pop up on your browser at the end of the session, and we'll be sure to get in touch. This concludes our webinar. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a great day ahead.